How's it going, Goomy Gang? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing fantastic, and I hope you guys are enjoying Season 3 Reloaded. I know I am, and I definitely got some good news for you guys, and that is that the Marine SP is kind of just insane now at this point. The damage it does is just kind of crazy. It's got so much range now. So with today's video, I'm just gonna be talking about the Marine SP. This thing needs a video on its own just because, man, it is so damn good now. So I'm gonna share with you guys all the good stuff about it that I was able to dig up, share the patch notes, all that good stuff. So if you wanna hop to a certain part of the video, check the timestamps below. And without further ado, I'm just gonna get into it. As always, let's take a look at the patch notes, kind of see what exactly changed. So if we do take a look at the patch notes, they did a really interesting thing here, and they basically just buffed the damages on all the ranges except the very close max damage range for this thing. So you'll notice these damage bumps are pretty substantial. Like getting 10 extra damage a pellet is pretty crazy. Its last range getting 32 damage instead of 21 is really crazy to me, and I did not expect this kind of buff at all. And I do want to point out the damages you're seeing here are for headshots. For some reason, like the headshot seems to be the base damage and everything else just does a little bit less, but it's still a ton of damage, trust me. Now, of course, it's one thing to see numbers, but what does this actually mean in game? Well, the thing is, if you take a look at the damage that you can do in each of these respective ranges, I'll show it up on the screen, you can see there's just so much damage potential. It's kind of absurd. Like, we've never had a shotgun do this much damage that far, and it's kind of crazy because what's really nice is in its last damage range, basically out to wherever you can get a hit marker with this thing, it is entirely possible to get a 2-shot kill with this, meaning just a boom, boom. As long as you hit good center mass or actually kind of chest area shots, you are going to be dealing at least 150 damage. So sometimes they may not break their armor, but then the next shot does, maybe because you hit a couple headshot pellets. But basically you can 2-shot with this thing as long as you can get a hit marker with this thing. I mean, it's really that strong now. The damage in the range is absurd. If there was a time to get into hunting wascally wabbits, this is basically the time. I mean, it's really that damn good now. Now, looking at the numbers on paper, you're probably thinking that's really, really damn strong, and it is. And if you're not a shotgun kind of guy, you're probably looking at them and rolling your eyes a bit thinking, oh great, here we go, another shotgun meta where I'm just gonna be constantly dying and deleted, insta-melted by this thing. But to be fair, there's a lot of things keeping this gun in check to keep it from being too strong. And if you've seen videos where I talk about this gun before, you probably know where I'm going with this thing, but there's a few things holding it back, or rather keeping it in check with its damage and range. Number one being the time to kill, or rather the rate of fire for this thing. It is just such a slow shooting shotgun, even with rapid fire. It's so bad. And as a fun fact, this thing's time to kill for 2 shots is basically identical or very close to being on par with the AMAX in its minimum damage range. So literally the AMAX, as far as you can get a hit with it, it's going to kill as fast if you're hitting all your shots as this gun up close. To put that in perspective for you, another really important factor in the balancing here is the handling, or specifically like the aim down sights time and the sprint to fire speed are so slow, and mainly the sprint to fire speed. Like, it's just unbearably slow, and even with the most attachments you can get to help it, it's still going to feel sluggish and kind of awkward. So you really have to play methodically with it. You can't just run and gun, like just balls to the wall in people's faces and expect to win. It's just not going to happen. And this is coming from someone who hates slow sprint to fire guns, especially shotguns. This thing can still make it work though. I mean, it's still incredibly strong. Another thing to consider is this thing does have spread. It is a shotgun, so depending on how you kit your build out, and no matter what you do, there's always going to be some spread. There's always a little bit of RNG to it, so it makes it a little bit difficult to hit those really long range shots. It's still possible. I've done it before, and boy, does it feel good, but honestly, it can be difficult because there is a ton of spread at really long ranges, so you have to keep that in mind when you're challenging people, but it's honestly possible, and that's enough for me to actually try it, and it's a ton of fun when it works. As far as the build goes, honestly, my tried and true build still kind of remains the same. Now, I want to point out you can change this as you see fit. Honestly, if you want to have more aim down sights movement speed, which is really great for this type of gun, just swap out that stock and use something like the Infiltrator stock. I think it's the first stock you have unlocked for this gun. It's got a great aim down sights movement speed. Just use that. Or if you want a little bit more movement speed, use the sawed off stock. Whatever. It just kind of suits me because I can't stand having that slow of a sprint to fire speed, so I balance it out with a little bit of a boost to it. But honestly, you don't need it. The main important thing here is to use the choke, the modified choke with the long barrel and the tac laser. That's going to give you the most range possible, and using the tac laser with that choke is going to keep your spread super, super tight, even at long ranges, and you have the added benefit of kind of seeing where your shot's going to go, so you can kind of gauge relative to the size of the enemy's hitbox, like, is this actually going to connect enough? So that's really nice to see, rather than just aiming down sights. If you want to use an aim down sights build rather than tac stance, use the Strelok laser. That's another great laser. Now into the more subjective part of the video. How do I feel about this buff? Honestly, I was shocked because they just buffed the damages. That's kind of crazy to me given it did already a lot of damage. But the fact that it can two-shot so far is scary good. This is such a scary good potential for a pump action, and it's super fun when it works. I can't think of anything more cathartic in Warzone than just like hitting someone at 20 meters with a pump action and cracking their armor. It's kind of that same feeling as getting a one-shot headshot with a sniper at like 400 meters. It's that same dopamine rush. And while I was really hoping for a buff to its like mobility and handling more so than its damage and ranges, they're just going all in on this thing being an absolute monster with its damage and range, and they're keeping it in check with the rate of fire and with the sprint to fire speed and the handling, which I'm totally on board for. I didn't expect them to lean into it this way, but honestly, I am all for it. And this will give the other shotguns like the Lockwood 680 and the Brysons, this will give them a chance to be the better ones for handling and mobility, but also not having as much damage and range. That'll be up to the Marine SP. So if you really want to snipe, quote unquote, snipe people with a pump action, this is going to be the one to use. And guys, let me tell you, it takes work to get kills with this thing, but when it works, oh my god, it works and it hits like a truck. Don't be afraid to hit fire with this thing either up close. It does enough damage now to where it doesn't necessarily mean you have to aim down sights at closer ranges, but if you want to get that two-shot really far, you have to aim down sights. And guys, that's just about going to do it for this video. So as always, I want to know down below in the comments, what do you think about this buff? Did it catch you off guard like it did me? Are you sad it didn't get a sprint to fire speed boost, or do you not really care given how much damage it does now? With all that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.